So the advisors group is an absolutely remarkable group that has been extremely, extremely helpful. So what we wanted to do with the advisors group was to do two things. First of all, to get input from people from every corner of the corporate governance ecosystem. And the second thing we wanted was, once the project is finished, to have people who will stand behind it and say this was a serious project. So we have a combination of deal lawyers from not all of the relevant jurisdictions, but many. So we have people from the Northeast, we have people from both northern and southern California. We have people from, I think we have some people from Chicago. So we try to get a bunch of board counselor and deal lawyers from around the country. And we have a bunch of litigators from around the country, both litigators who are typically on the defense side and litigators who are on the shareholder side. Because to make this work, we need to have voices from every part of the ecosystem. We also want to have people who work with companies. So we have people who are general counsel, because general counsel are one of the critical constituencies, audiences. We also want to have people who work for large shareholders. So we have general counsels from hedge funds. We have people who are or were senior people in investment banks. But we go beyond that, because, as I mentioned before, ESG has become an important force. And so we have folks from the ESG community who are pushing corporations to move beyond the traditional approach into taking a broader view of the social role of the corporation and the constituencies that have a stake in what a corporation does. And finally, we have some academics who have been enormously helpful. We have a few CEOs who have lived this in various forms. So to give an example, we were talking about the corporate opportunity doctrine. I was curious as to how people renounce. What is the state of the art in how you renounce a corporate opportunity? So I could reach out to one of their advisors, who is a general counsel of a major private equity firm, and say, you guys own a lot of companies. You have a lot of directors. How do you handle it? And he sent me 4 examples of how they handled it. I can reach out to senior people in Silicon Valley when I want to find out, how is this handled in Silicon Valley? When I'm trying to figure out how special committees work and what they feel, what kind of information they feel that a conflicted fiduciary must disclose as part of getting disinterested director approval. I can reach out and say, well, what do you ask? Do you ask them to disclose more than their view of what the conflict is? Do they also have to disclose their view of the transaction? And if so, what about the transaction? Every step of the way, because we have such a sensational advisors group, in that sense, I have on my Rolodex, if you will, the ability to call up people, which I've done liberally, to find out not just what they think the law is, but what's best practice and how it works in the real world. Because ultimately, we want this restatement to be a useful document for judges, lawyers, both board counselors and litigators, and asset managers, people who work for asset managers, for everybody in the corporate governance ecosystem. We're hoping that it will be useful. And the only way to make sure it's useful is if we get input from all of the relevant constituencies.